Tempers flare over Sega market space allocation. Now, the vendors claim that some of them have not been allocated space, while others accuse officials of allocating more than one stall or shop that is for the particular vendors. Remember, actually, that market has been in operation in the space of about now 3 weeks as we speak, ever since it was opened. And there are quite lots of tempers. That is all in relation to space allocations. Now, TikTokers, the new enemies of the state. Now, in the past 10 months alone, the government has arrested and imprisoned that is several TikTokers over politically inclined hate speeches against the First Family and close associates. So there is a lot of details that is entailing why, they are being considered as the enemies of the state. Now, into other national news, Besigye sues Kenya, Uganda government at East African court. Now, the four-time presidential candidate urges that Kenyan security aided the Ugandan security to carry out what he called the extraterritorial abduction. Extraterritorial abduction. That's what Besigye really says. And the AG defends First Family in court over clinging on power. Yes, there is a lot. Attorney General Chirwa Kiwanuka has defended in court the 3 members of the First Family who were sued for allegedly entrenching their family rule and thereby turning the state into a personal or family enterprise. And now, still in other news, the government has come out to warn the motorists ahead of the Christmas. Now, we know that motorist riders have been directed to wear and fasten standard helmets and have a reflector jacket and carry one passenger and not overload at the same time. So let us see how they will be able to execute that. And taking a look from the regional news still, supervisors to dismiss errant staff government plan. Now, Public Service Minister revealed a proposal for reducing red tape in handling of disciplinary cases for that line. So a lot has been listed all in that line. And stock food ahead of the dry spell. Yes, stock food ahead of the dry spell. This is what the government tells the people. Now, the analysis of the observed rainfall for 1 month that is of November, generally indicates that most parts of the country received what we call the near normal average in the above normal rainfall, with extreme rainfall experienced mostly in eastern Uganda. So let us wait and see. But of course, it's always good to take caution. Like such information, how do you really apply it? And you make the decisions that actually do matter. Now, a bishop decrees biting poverty. Now, the Masindi Kitara Diocese bishop said the district's primary cash crop, sugarcane, has not significantly improved the farmers' livelihoods. So why has that been the case? Well, grab yourself a copy and you'll find out the details entailed into that. And now teachers, Tororo teachers, learners share latrines. Of course, the funding from the government doesn't match the demand, and this has led to a crisis in primary schools where you find teachers sharing the same latrines with the pupils. So that is something. And well, end of the road for Assad. Now the Syrian army, now this is into the international space, of course, the end of Bashar al-Assad. And the Syrian army said it was continuing operations against terrorist groups in the key cities in Hama, Homs, and in Dera countryside. So there is a lot of details emerging. That is from Syria. What does that mean for the president? That is Bashar al-Assad. And of course, stadium projects should actually meet timelines. This is in the comment section. Somebody here says, and investing in condominiums, strategic insights, challenges, and opportunities that are engaged into that. Now, Uganda's complex land system adds another layer of difficulty for that. So what is the purpose of investing in condominiums? It has been listed there. And the digitalization of circles to unlock inclusion. Of course, there is a lot. And of course, someone here speaks about corruption, redefining the abnormal as normal through mindset change. Yes, that is what we're seeing there. And cybersecurity lessons for the African central markets. What is that for the African markets to learn from that? That is in there, and that is what we call when you decide to go the former way, you definitely have to advocate for the best policies. Now, in the panorama side, while Uganda energy transition still has a mountain to climb. Now, according to the report here, the curtains closed on this year's United Nations Climate that is COP29 on November 24th in Abidjan, capital, that is Baku, with a less than desired finance package of about $300 billion and faltered commitment on fossil fuel transition, which is actually good news for countries like Uganda. The summit definitely, which got off to a rocky start with the re-election of Donald Trump as next United States president looming large in the shadows. It was planned by the critics, among others, underwhelming and disappointing. Now the breather on the energy transition front, or whether it comes against the backdrop of Kampala's crashing left and right side, raises $5 billion for financing of the ECOP, which is actually pushed production to start to end of 2017. Now there is a report all in that in relation to Uganda's energy transition, and that has been discussed on how it can be. Maybe there are solutions to that, and they explain why we stand where we stand today. All right. Now, as we proceed here, we have quite a lot of updates. Okay, now switching straight to sports, let's take a look at the Champs League. This is Poster Boys dominate week 16. Now the lightweight gem lacked the agency and accuracy and the power he unleashed on the 2023 silver medalist, that is Waswa Sali, whom he stopped in 4 rounds 2 weeks ago. So that is what we're seeing in there. And She Cranes start AFN Cup campaign that is in Namibia. All right, now switching to the new vision. as we take a look at what is really transpiring. I'm seeing 1.7 million youth to benefit. That is from the new program. Now the ministry in final stages to roll out this. And now still President Museveni tips Kasese residents on household income. And of course, from the health side, you're told about the dangers of self-medicating. Why shouldn't really undertake that? While proceeding along, 49 Kayunga villages get electricity. Now, the UEGCL has previously developed other projects that is in health and education, water and sanitation. I'm talking about environment, tourism and agriculture, and beneficiary institutions in Kamoli include, they have actually been all mentioned in here, but that is quite a very good news. And now, in other news, Uganda wins a seat on East African Tax Council Forum, in addition to being recognized, that is by the African Union as the lead agency on the continental tax matters. The ATAF signed a memorandum of understanding with the Pan-African Parliament to adapt its model in double taxation agreements, that is at continental level. Now, this is a key. To note is the active role that the ATAF has actually also played in the global tax agenda over the last decade and became a key player in the inclusive framework in the United Nations Committee of Experts. So a lot of details have been also given out there, and 1.7 million to benefit from the vocational scheme. Now the government has actually completed rehabilitation of about 6 colleges, and in spite efforts to create more technical skill equipped generation, student numbers remain low. So blame this on societal perceptions, while others blame it on the cost to acquire education. However, the government has set out a plan to tackle the latter. So the government, we can actually clearly see how the government is trying to do whatever it takes to establish different training centers for the different youths in various regions of the country. Now, in other news, smallholder farmers get 1.3 trillion climate fund. Now, project covers crops, livestock, fish farming, and insects at the same time. And the project also aims to empower smallholder farmers to adapt to climate-smart practices, hence improving their productivity at the end of the day. So that is what we really anticipate. And now President Museveni tips Kasese residents on household income and peace. Now the president advised the locals that they think of creating wealth, they should do it with a calculation so that they are able to make the good profits as they ought to make. And now the government establishes rescue centers for to curb drowning. Now centers are positioned in areas prone to emergencies. Of course, water transport early warning centers in Uganda have been listed here too. So grab yourself a copy. That is, you'll be able to find that in detail. Okay. Now, still as we proceed, there is a question here that will Mpuga divide or unite the opposition? Now, the National Unity Platform, a deputy spokesperson, that is Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro, said Mpuga was declared as persona non grata at the NUP headquarters in Makere, Kavule, and is serving as a parliamentary commissioner at NRM's Grace and Mercies, according to what NUP responded in their response to what really transpired. And now we take a look at the Karuma Bridge, which is set to reopen next week, and Kawempe Hospital overwhelmed by the patient. Yeah, so that really calls for a lot of questions for that. And now Panga thugs on the prowl as festive season nears. Now homes in Mukono, Nasan and Wakiso have actually been a huge target. So against that calls for vigilance among the various citizens, regardless of where you are established. It's quite important that you take this very keen. Now, police has been conducting crackdowns in the most affected neighborhoods, for the theft-related cases. Now, multi-billion Munyonyo project has been cleared. Yes, the Capital Markets Authority has cleared a $5 million United States dollars Munyonyo Hotel project, which the authority had earlier halted on grounds that it was operating an approved scheme aiming at fleecing and suspected Ugandans. That's what happened. And still in other news, Bunyangabu makes steps towards preventative health. Now the authorities push for exemplary homestays. So let us see how that also transpires. And now Hoima Catholic Diocese is set to host 10,000 youth. Yeah. And public officials inflate costs in budgeting. It's according to the IGP, Betty Kamia. Now, corrupt officials have actually resorted to inflating budgets of what we call the public project and procurement processes to misappropriate government funds. The Inspector General of Government, that is Betty Kamia, said in a statement. But of course, let us wait and see how that really turns out. And now from the court side, Besigye petitions East African court over the arrest in Kenya. The lawyers contend that Besigye and Lutale's trial in a military court offends requirements in a fair trial. So there is a lot also there. And now Chinese have also been remanded over pangolin car cases. And Pastor Kayanja hails First Lady on Family Promotion Project. Now the initiative will definitely help in restoring core values of the family, according to what the experts say. And now from the comment side, somebody here says that compensate all project affected persons for the standard gauge railway to succeed, and the Global Trains 2040 United States Intelligence Council perspective. Yes, that perspective has actually also been really given out from that line. Now, proceeding along as we see what is really transpiring, but of course I also need to consider the time factor. I don't think I do have the time, but we briefly are going to review the East African. That is it from the New Vision. And now as we switch to the East African, there is a huge question, and now this is all in line with the United States versus China, who is actually falling home. Now, critics say cooperation isn't rooted in win-win outcomes, but rather serves as a vehicle for advancing the superpowers' interests. So there is further insights that have been really put there. And now we take a look at Ethiopia. Kenya score dismally in civic rights. Now the report says people living within as represented civic space. There is a lot that has been said about that. And then Rwanda, Burundi say road fees are discriminatory. Now they are against the formula used by Tanzania, Kenya, and their transporters at the same time. So they're trying to complain out there. What does that mean for the East African community for that? And now, of course, the further details in relation to the China versus the United States in Africa. Now, President Joe Biden's visit to Angola revives economic rivalry between the two global powers. But experts on the continent warn that the new scramble for Africa is actually replete with empty promises. And the battle for the minerals is definitely what has been fronted here for the next battle of Africa. And now in Russia, North Korea finds escape it couldn't in Africa. There is a lot. And of course, we see the trouble with Ethiopia is actually constitutional. Now, the Eritrea president says Ethiopian constitution is not conducive to change. That is what he said, according to what is happening there. And then winner of Ghana election faces full in tray and polarity. Now this time around, choosing a new president and 276 legislators will be a big test for the electorate, just as it is for the candidates, as Mahama returns on the ballot. And now South Sudan mediation faces tight schedule after a 4-month lull. So we are reviewing from the East African. And now Sudan's mercenary crisis as foreign fighters fuel a protracted conflict and leading to human suffering. Now, shadowy players are bringing in new players into the fray, transforming the war once limited to Sudanese armed forces and the rapid support forces into what we call a multifaceted dispute. And now, still in other news from the East African, Kenya's political chessboard, new allies are rising, Gen Z and battle for the 2027 election. There is no governing political party which has actually survived to contest the next polls in same form identity since the defeat of the Kenya African National Union. Well, there is a lot in there, and that brings me to the end of the local press review. And now, for now, let's get into the break. And when I return, Karibu East Africa and international updates is definitely into the pipeline. Stick around.